Summer, the time when flowers are blooming, temperatures are rising, and the sky is bright and blue. Today is a beautiful day to stay inside and watch anime. Welcome everybody to the summer breakdown that's hopefully not 6 weeks late this time. Really quickly, let's go over the shows that I am not watching. Another one? Oh my god. Sorry, but I'm not caught up on these yet. Also, that card game anime and Orient. I dropped the prequels, so obviously I'm not watching the sequels to those. Now that all that's out the way, let's get to the good stuff. Alright, starting off this season with an idol show, huh? I say idol show, but it's really more of a comedy between two characters that contrast in every single way. Idol is just the foundation the show is built on. Shows like these make me thankful I don't read plot synopsis anymore, because an unmotivated idol who takes the phrase doing it for the money to heart, getting possessed by the ghost of a dead teen idol trying to relive the dream that was fatally taken away from her, was the last thing I expected. Get past the semi-convoluted premise and it's a pretty simple comedy with a fun main trio. The development of Yoshino I found to be enjoyable. An idol who lacks confidence in himself because he has such a high opinion of idols that he feels he's unqualified to be one was pretty neat. It has fewer episodes than I'd like, but it seems like it's a fun show. The production is alright for the most part. That idol CGI is stinky though. Time to talk about the one show that apparently everyone thinks is bad but me. I mean, just read the mal reviews. For as much as people trash this show, rightfully so, you can't deny its popularity. I'm entering the series with the same expectations I put on it in my video. I'm hoping for some kind of character development in one of the four main characters. I do not care what any of you have to say, I see the potential here. I really do. It has many elements that, if executed better than in the manga, can lead to at least an entertaining romance. Even with Kazuya being, well, like Kazuya. At least he has a goal now. He has a reason to keep renting Chizuru. That's something at the very least. Besides that, the production is pretty much the same. The OP is not as good, sadly, and that little recap at the start was adorable. I feel like it's rare for people to generally praise this show like I am, but I like what I'm seeing so far. At the very least, it's pretty funny. So apparently this was supposed to be a darker, more plot-focused anime, but the director changed it, making it brighter and focusing more on the relationship between the two mains. I can't say it was a bad decision, because the character interactions between Chisato and Takina are so wholesome and adorable. The plot isn't anything to write home about, but the character dynamic between those two, and even the rest of the cast, is captivating. It also has fantastic action animation. Chisato in particular moves so smoothly. You can really tell she's superhuman by the way she moves. Look at how effortlessly she's dodging these bullets. I also really like the main conflict between the two girls, with Chisato sympathizing with people and not murdering others, while Takina is the complete opposite and believes she has to murder people for the job. It leads to some pretty powerful scenes. Like I said before, the plot isn't great or anything, hence why I didn't really talk about it much, but the action is exciting, the characters are fun and memorable, and their interactions are some of the best of the season. I'm excited to see where this one goes. You know those memes about slice of life anime made by people who don't watch slice of life anime about how there's no plot or nothing really interesting going on? Well, this is a slice of life anime that actually has nothing going on. Literally, like, nothing happens in this show. At all. I watched the first season and I enjoyed it for what it was, which is a short anime promoting the city the anime is set in, not unlike Yatogame-chan. But I think the main difference is that Yatogame is actually entertaining with its interactions and animation. It also has a memorable and fun main character, and while this anime has some cute characters in it, somehow the animation got worse from the previous season.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Like, way worse. I do not remember the first season looking like this at all. It seems to be more CGI based, and the movements are so stiff and slow that I thought my computer was breaking for a second. Yeah, it's out of character for me to drop a cute girl anime, but I'm just not feeling this one. I liked the first season better. So what's next? I don't know what you were expecting, but I know for a fact a rap OP was not one of them. The story of TEPPEN! Sorry, due to all the exclamation points at the end, I feel like I have to yell the name. TEPPEN is about a comedy trio in a sort of tournament? That's about it. Besides a weird plot about stopping an assassination of a president, which is extremely unfortunate timing, it seems like a fun, cute comedy show. Speaking of, the comedy might be a little hard to get for some American or other foreign viewers, so it may not be as funny to us, though it does have its moments. I never thought I'd see an anime talk about crypto. The animation and art are pretty good, and the cast seems committed to the characters. So even though the actual jokes might sometimes go over your head, it can still be an entertaining watch. Remember when people used to hate A1 Pictures not too long ago? That's funny. Anyways, this show is pretty great so far. While there's not a lot story-wise, at least not yet, I do think there is potential with the government hiding the fact there are literal demons in the city they call a paradise. It's a city that guarantees financial success for its citizens, but also breeds failure like no other city. And a character who's felt the worst of the government working for the government to help get rid of the demons is interesting, even if it is a pretty basic girl and guy hunt monsters storyline. There's a lot that needs to be uncovered about the characters, like Shu losing his memory so he can fight against the demons to hopefully find his sister. That whole story arc was really interesting and kind of pulled me into the show. And the fighting between the girls, who both have a legit, reasonable reason to despise each other the way they do. The show also balances its comedy and ecchi scenes really well. What really makes me excited about this show is the very impressive animation. The action scenes are crisp. There was one scene where the girls were just murdering the monsters as they were trying to kill each other, which was a really fun scene. The animation outside the action is also good. They nail the facial expressions and they have some very nice creative shots. Now, this is an original and this would not be the first time I gushed about an original anime only to be let down when it ends, but I am an optimist. I do think there's something really good here. It's probably one of my favorite shows of the season. Aw, shit.
What's wrong, bro?
It's a key adaptation.
Aww.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yep. You get the waterworks ready for this one. Some may look at this show and think it's a cute show about robotic dolls working at a cafe, but I see right through it. I see the signs of pain with the dolls being originally made for war, the Lolly's mother being dead, and this robot that was overworked so badly she completely broke. Do you know the roller coaster of emotions I had during this first episode? I was going up and down so much you'd think I was a crypto stock price. Moving on from the very obvious sad nature of the story, the animation is really well done, and I love the look of the characters and the mechs as well for that matter. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much pain. I mean, Jumaida isn't on this show, so hopefully it doesn't cause as much pain. Damn anime and their long titles. This is the idol version of Strike Witches. It's in the same timeline as all the other ones. I think the most shocking thing so far is that these girls are wearing pants. Don't they know the society Strike Witches takes place in relies on these girls not wearing pants? How the hell am I gonna get my sexually explicit cunny shots if these girls are wearing pants? The story is pretty stereotypical idol, only it's set in World War II with jetpack flying lollies in it. I like the setting and the art, and the animation has some nice looking shots as well. I'll watch this as I'm watching Strike Witches. Sounds easy to me. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I finally get to talk about RWBY on this channel. I originally planned a whole video series on the original RWBY, but I never finalized it. Little did I know it'd officially be an anime just 1 year later. So what's different? Well, for one, it does seem to be rushing things to get to a more original story, and because of that, growth and the story take a bit of a hit. It does feature a bit of anime original scenes though. Loved the little details like focusing on how each character got into Beacon instead of reducing it to a music video trailer. Even if it does spoil the mystery surrounding Blake's character, the animation looks very good. I liked the use of the split screen, and those transitions during the first episode were smooth! And the music didn't seem all that different from the original soundtrack, which was one of the best parts of the original RWBY. A lot of energetic rock tracks that really fit the fast-paced action. I'm excited to see where they take this new story and how it differs from the original. Hopefully, it doesn't become as terrible. I just hope it isn't as rushed as it seems right now. The original really made the most with its limited time and had a lot of important character development and plot progression in there, while also having a lot of filler. We don't talk about the John Bully arc. I feel a lot of the emphasis was lacking compared to the original, but it could be because they just want to tell a new story as soon as possible. This one's gonna be a little tough to talk about because there is a ton to unpack and we don't really know all the details yet due to its slower pacing. So bear with me, please. This is an anime that takes place in a digital, technologically advanced game world with an in-game currency called love that can be used to change how characters perceive reality. Think of it as like a regular video game. You get the coins and then use those coins to buy various cosmetics. The only difference is in the anime, the amount of love you have seems to heavily affect your social standing in the world. The plot is about this hacker conveniently named Hack and this girl with a busted eye named Barry slowly uncovering the mysteries surrounding this game world. There's a lot of crazy stuff in this show, like entering hyperspaces, school being completely simulated, and invisible children. But what really caught my interest story-wise was it seems the government of this world is censoring information from their citizens. Something like that just always interests me about stories due to how very real that is. Probably the best thing about this show though is the unique art style. The world is so futuristic and colorful. One thing Science Saru seems to do amazingly is making their worlds look interesting, and it makes their shows really stand out from the crowd. The music fits the futuristic look of the show. I also like the characters. Barry's carefree attitude over pretty much any situation is just really fun to watch, despite her weird catchphrase being Love-E. I do not know what that means, translators. This is not the first time I've been bit in the back by an original anime that I'm high on. I feel like I have to say this every single time, but I have a strong feeling about this one. Definitely an underrated show. Well, we went a while without an isekai, but we all knew it was coming eventually. This show didn't really interest me at all. You see the title, you know the plot, you see the genre, you pretty much guess what this is about. I did think the slimes the main character used to fight with were pretty cute, but besides that, the show gives you nothing that much better isekais won't already give you. If you like isekai with overpowered main protagonists and fun fight scenes, you will like this. But for me personally, I just wasn't feeling it. Quite the show we got here. I'll be honest, I never thought Classroom with the Elite would get a sequel, let alone two. Just because the series screamed, "Please read the light novel," all over it as I was watching. The concept itself is intriguing, with the school essentially based on society and how the real world works. It does seem Kei is taking a bit more of a role in this first season as we learn her backstory, which is good because Horichika took up way too much screen time last season and made the other girls feel less important as a result. Ignoring all that, I enjoyed this show as a psychological character drama. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried just due to the fact Shield Hero did the same thing and look at how that turned out. I'll wait and see though. I actually have a review planned for the first season, so if you want to hear more of my thoughts on the first season, that's where it'll be. Shota needs a familiar to pass high school, so he reincarnates a busted demon to be his familiar. We are 2 steps away from this being a doujin plotline, featuring a Kutch childhood friend character that came at least 4 times in the very first episode. Considering this is the director from Pharaoh's Love and the only other show the studio worked on is a hentai, I'm expecting a pretty good 12 episodes here. I'm not really sure what else to talk about. Production's decent. Yeah, if you want an ecchi anime where the MC keeps on fumbling the bag in order to keep his precious virginity, then this show is for you. So, 2 back-to-back, huh? You have the beta demon reincarnator who refuses to have sex with his busted demon girl, and then you have the Chad slave master who's willing to put in that hard work just so he can fuck a slave. Imagine you're a D&D player, right? Then imagine after you created your character and all that other stuff, you got sucked into the world. Now imagine you meet a rich slave salesman and he offers you a slave. You think 1's not enough, so you get 2, then 3. Continue onwards. That's this anime. There's an uncensored version where, like, that's a straight up pushy shot. Like, there's camel toe and then there's just a straight up pushy shot. We're a very thin piece of cloth away from this being a hentai. Not even Wado of Healer had a shot like that. Pretty gory as well, which I thought was fun, but it's pretty average in every other regard. I just think it's funny hearing this guy talk about women like they're a call or something. This is a pretty unique spin on the isekai trope with someone coming back from the other world after 17 years and trying to adjust to the more modern lifestyle. Meanwhile, the nephew is learning about the time the uncle had spent in the other world. Hijinks ensue. The art, while simple, kinda makes the show stand out in a way. Plus the usage of dark colorings I found to be fun, and the character design between the men and women contrasts in a way that's kinda hilarious to me. I do feel like it relies on nostalgia references a little bit too much. My last point about this show is that the OP is really good. I loved the use of 8-bit, which is a reference to the old Sega games Uncle used to play. Don't get the wrong idea about this anime, this isn't a parody of the isekai genre or anything, it's more like an isekai with a unique fun spin to it. About time this anime gets some attention. Featuring Hatsune Miku in your show does wonders. If you know Jashin-Chan, then it's just another season of that. More fourth wall breaks, really outrageous humor, and fun characters. I actually think the animation improved a bit, but it's been a while since I've seen this show, so maybe I'm off on that. It's a very easy show to binge watch through, as episodes seem to fly by due to how chaotic it is. This anime has a very hardcore, dedicated fanbase, as all its seasons keep on getting crowdfunded, something the anime makes a reference to a lot. The OP brought back the ridiculousness of the first season that I felt the second season lacked. It's still not as wild as the first, cause honestly I don't think you're topping that one in terms of ridiculousness. And Lier, and of course Miku, are fun additions to the cast. I really liked hearing Miku's voice, I just think it's funny hearing the Vocaloid voice thing used in an anime.
You want a bacon wrap hot dog? Ooh, ooh, you want a Miku?
It's looking like another good season of a demon getting brutally tortured for just being annoying. Let's get it. Pain. All I feel is pain. All I know is pain. People have said that this is pain, and I thought it couldn't be that bad. But I was wrong. 40 seconds in! 40 seconds in, and already this is looking painful. Kevin Penkin, you are a god. Anyways, I really love this show. It's one of the most emotional roller coasters I've ever been strapped into, and it looks like we're starting high early. What, with little Todoroki here getting burned with a metal wad, and this girl who almost got abandoned in the abyss because she couldn't get pregnant despite being a literal child. Wait a minute. If they knew she couldn't reproduce, then that means... Oh, I just realized it. Well, ignoring all that, she's cute as a button and her relying on Iluko was adorable. Hopefully nothing happens to her. It would be a real shame if something were to happen to this cute side character. It's not like this has ever happened before! But seriously, no more memeing. This show is actually incredible. Like, I try not to be hyperbolic too much on this show, but this anime is a damn near masterpiece. It's got some of the best world building, it's got some of the most interesting and fun characters, it's got the most hard-hitting scenes, but also the cutest scenes. The animation and art look beautiful, like it is an actually amazing series. And it looks like this season is just continuing at that same level of high quality, so check out this series if you haven't yet. Anime is freaking weird, man. This show is about an ex-couple who now hate each other but still secretly love each other despite becoming step-siblings. And they play psychological mind games with each other to present the idea that they still hate each other when in reality they both still love each other. It's like Kaguya-sama but with step-siblings. It's also kind of like a non-explicit domestic girlfriend, but with a little less incest. don't let the title fool you. It's a pretty simple romance with a main relationship that develops nicely with alright animation and art. There's only one road this series should go down, and that's the characters slowly realizing they still love each other and get married as step-siblings. If that doesn't happen, then this show is trash. Get rid of it. I'm not entirely sure what this is. This could be a love letter to the fans, or this could be a complete remake. They better not be trying to fit 52 episodes into 12 though. So basically, yeah, this girl is in high school. Super hot guy shows up. About 50 girls come at the sight of him. Girl goes on date with hot guy. Learns what an endangered species is. Good for her, that's a tough one. They smooch. Girl gets split up from guy. 2 more hot guys show up. They go spoosh with this giant laser beam. Girl gets sent through a time warp and gains magical powers from a cat. And then bam, a giant ass rat appears. Rat goes bam, wham. The girls are like ah, ah. And then the girl goes rat dies. Girl learns that she was chosen along with other girls to defend the world against these monsters. Alright, did y'all get all that? Yeah, I guess I'll watch this. If it sucks, I'll just watch the original. I think the main girl is pretty cute, even if she is a little annoying with her habit of thinking out loud. And I like that the art style incorporates elements of both new and old anime. Also, the main crush of the show is just funny. They didn't write him to be funny, I just find him funny. Dude's an environmentalist, right? Dude does kendo. He reads a book as he's waiting for his date, guys. This is 100% the kind of guy you'd catch singing to a bunch of deer deep in the forest. He's that guy who whistles and birds just come flying towards him. These are my friends, would you look at him? Damn gacha games. They always pour you in with their cute characters. The characters here are especially adorable though. There's this shy girl that has a good sense of smell and oddly looks like Saguri. Don't ask me how to pronounce her name because I honestly have no idea. Mel, who's more energetic, and little Alberta, who has the chuny look going for her, which is already a step above the rest, but when you add on her laid-back, kudere personality, it's pretty obvious to see who best girl is. The character designer is the same one from Re:Zero, which is pretty obvious if you look at it, and I thought the main girl, the Saguri look-alike, spending the entirety of tea time trying to open up this jar of jam was so cute I almost was losing focus on the dialogue. The story is pretty basic about these girls learning to be ladies, and there doesn't seem to be any darker or serious plot anywhere. Okay, what's going on? No, take me back. Okay, thanks. Well, this is comfy. Seriously, it's a simple show about a Yakuza taking care of his boss's unemotional daughter whose mom is dead. It's just a really nice and relaxing show. I think the characters are likable and entertaining, and the animation and art is solid. There's not a lot to say about this one, other than I think I really like the childcare genre. They all seem to be adorable, with interesting enough elements to keep the rather simple plot from getting boring. This one goes for a more chill tone, with some slight mixes of comedy. Not a lot interested me in this, to be honest. Despite looking completely different from the poster, I thought the art style was fairly distinctive. The cast is colorful and the animation was alright, but nothing else pulled me in to watch this all the way through. A group of criminals are forced to join together in the Shinsengumi in order to hunt down the group of samurais who killed the main character's family. It's Akudama Drive, but in the world of Gintama. It sounds a lot more fun than it actually is. It never actually uses the fact they're criminals in any interesting way. Just look at how wacky these characters are. Perhaps I'm being a little premature, but this show feels like a worse version of things I've already seen. It's disappointing, especially since Gino has impressed me in their very short history. I loved Golden Kamui, and even though I thought Pet was boring as all hell, at least that was an intriguing concept. Maybe I'll return to it another day, but I just ain't feeling it right now. 2022 is the year of the 5-head anime. The trilogy of lollies with big foreheads continues with this show, which is basically Tagaki but in reverse, as the girl is the one who keeps getting flustered over her very large and straightforward crush. I already like the conflict as Urushi wishes for her shogi club to get more members, and since Ayamu likes her, he wants her to be happy. So he's trying to get members but also trying to have alone time with his crush, which he knows isn't possible. So he's kinda sacrificing his want for her want, which is pretty cute. And the strategies for shogi being easily applied for romantic situations were pretty cool. Since the plot revolves around not being able to confess, the backhanded methods that are used to indirectly tell the person that they like them were so adorable and kinda clever. The opening is also pretty nice. The only other thing I have to say about this show is that he doesn't fucking miss! He's batting 300 right now. Bam! 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 Ball game! Damn vampire anime. Stop trying to make me into vampires. That's one kink too many. So, what do you guys want to talk about? Y'all want to talk about the fact that this is by the same director who made most of the Monogatari's? Oh, you can tell too. Immediately. Everything this series has is what originally piqued my interest in Monogatari, which was the look and the style of it all. The close-up shots, the beautiful use of color, loved the use of the purple and pink lighting for the night, those pan-up shots, and even the narrator's audio sounds damn near the same to me. Really, the only thing missing are those flashes of text that make you pause the show constantly. It also has those fun comedy scenes like in Vanitas, which is also by the director, which I actually didn't know until now. The one thing Vanitas did really well was the biting scenes, hammering home that seductive nature of it all. These scenes are fucking hot, alright? I will say I think the story is a little lacking compared to his other works, but a romance between a boy and a vampire is something I can get behind. Yamori I found to be a pretty cool character. He isn't like the other high schoolers, and he just thinks he doesn't have a purpose. Being in the night for the first time was the moment his life didn't feel dull, and I like that. This is probably my favorite season 1 of the season. It has everything that appeals to me about anime. It might not be for everyone though. This show is about a giant biscuit hammer that's about to slam into Earth with a talking lizard who's recruiting teenagers to protect this girl who's about to mess up that biscuit hammer because she's the one who's gonna destroy the world. Honestly, this show is freaking wild, but my one question is, what the heck is a biscuit hammer? This is apparently a very good older manga with a cult-like following. It's nice to see manga like that get anime nowadays. This one sucks though.
Hello there.
Okay, I should specify that the adaptation sucks. The actual story and characters are pretty solid, I thought. I really enjoyed Yuhi's nonchalant, almost sinister reaction to saving the world. It gives off the idea that this guy truly is kind of evil, but when you look inside you realize he's just a lonely kid dealing with emotional trauma from his grandfather's hateful view of other people. I originally thought that the chains surrounding him were metaphoric, but it also seems to be literal, as they mention a curse his grandfather placed on the word, and they actually physically affect him. That's a really interesting concept, and if done right, could lead to a fantastic story. Sadly, that's not the case here, as the pacing is too fast and the directing feels like a mess. I can give that exact same criticism with everything in this show. Very good, compelling concept, but lacking in execution. Nas has made some concepts work in the past, but this one just seems like a miss. And that's not even getting to the worst part. The animation. The animation stinks! It's not even it's unwatchably bad, it's just dull. I think the art looks good at times. I liked the use of orange coloring, but that's about it. But man, the animation just looks so flat and so average. It looks like a show from 15 years ago. Give this scene to any other studio, and I promise they make something miles more interesting than this. I usually hate saying this, but it's best to just read the manga. I guess I'll watch this isekai. It's a pretty by-the-books isekai with the added twist of the goddess being brought with the hero in the form of a menu, which is kinda humorous, and the main guy can use summoning magic. It's essentially Pokemon, but in an isekai. I can't say it's new or anything, but it is an enjoyable show. Kelvin is a good protagonist. He's not boringly overpowered yet, but he does grow a little too strong too quick for my taste. They said he needed white magic rank A to kill this girl's curse, and the very same day he got the magic to kill her. Another issue is the animation. The normal animation is fine. It's when they try this CGI nonsense there's an issue. The CGI is pretty flat looking and it distracts me from the actual fight scene, because we're going from 3D to 2D to 3D to 2D so quickly that you can't help but notice it. There's even a scene where there's a 2D character talking to a 3D character. It looks so goofy, it's funny. The actual fight scene was decent though, but the CGI is rough. Luckily though, the CGI is barely in this show, so I can live with it. I just hope it doesn't affect the big moments. It's not the greatest show in the world or anything, but it's alright for what it is. I can't be the only one that finds this show deeply disturbing, right? Like, just the fact that we know these faces are children that were taken from their homes, and they're forcibly making them addicted to the soot coffee stuff to rob them of their own freedom of thought. Like, I've seen a lot of grotesque stuff in anime, but this bothers me a lot. Like, it's almost creepy seeing the Starbearers in action, just because you know they've been brainwashed to the point that there's hardly even a person there. They've turned into an actual doll, and that's the direction the main cast is heading in. Unlike the very similar show Promised Neverland, the second season seems to be continuing the anime down a path of intrigue, as the characters try to find out the mysteries of how the Shadows House is ran, while also learning about the Soot and how it can have various special abilities such as mind control and the Force. And that's not even talking about RWBY-sama and what they could add to the story, and the new characters, which is both exciting and worrying as they will have to go through the same trial as Emilico and the others. Will they work with Emilico and Sean, or fall for the brainwashing like the others? Maybe they fail the trial like RWBY did. There's a lot to explore in this new season, and hopefully it'll lead to a compelling and fulfilling story. There's also not a lot to say about this anime. If you took an idol anime, mix it in a bag with a sports anime, sprinkle in some futuristic nonsense and a tournament arc, and that's basically this. It's not bad, it's cute, but it really is just decent all around. There's a lot in this show that makes no sense, but we're also in the future where idols can perform in multiple sports in one massive event while wearing gear that essentially powers up your ability to play the sport so much it actively breaks science. Reality is a foreign concept in this show, so it doesn't really matter. Sometimes it can be so off the wall that it's entertaining, but that's probably the most you're gonna get out of this. That singing scene was really good though. Anime is a fun medium, man. No other type of television would think of a show where slots become human. They are not creative enough to come up with such a genius idea. For real though, it's a witty little short anime that can work as a palate cleanser. The openings have really no reason to bang as hard as they do though. Especially that second one. Really good art in each of them too. Do you know Cheat Pharmacist Isekai? It's like that but better. Do you also know Omnipotent Isekai? It's like that but better. Scientist enters the medical field due to his sister dying. He wants to create better treatments to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else, and overworks himself to death. You already know the next part already, so I'm just gonna stay silent during it.
Sensei?
In the other word, he becomes a child of noble birth, but learns his power, which is gifted to all the nobles, is all out of whack. He also has a messed up eye and no shadow. Something I really enjoyed is the reaction to how his teacher found out about this strange phenomenon. She gets scared for her life because she thinks a monster or some type of god took over his body. It's a nice change of pace from other isekais who usually just accept that kind of thing. Or they're like, look at how amazing he is, stuff like that. Another unique thing is the main protagonist. He uses his knowledge of science to explain the magic. It's pretty neat to learn about. The show also has some nice animation at points, especially with the magic. It's a solid isekai all around. If idol anime are trash, then I am the dumpster. All idol anime will be watched and enjoyed by me. You will sit and watch the same shonen anime that's the exact same as every other shonen anime, yet also critique idol anime for all being the same. I see the game you play. This isn't anything standout or anything plot-wise, but it won me over with its characters. Kind of a theme for this season if we're being honest. This idol group called Tings... Why is a drill beat suddenly playing? Has to fill up a crowd of 2,000 people or else they will break up. Originally I thought the brightness surrounding people was metaphorical, but actually it turns out the manager has a superpower that allows him to spot liars. I'm sorry, what? And apparently 2 of the 3 idols shine brightly when talking about their motivations. So, to quote the Vine legend, for what purpose are you not being truthful with your statement right now? As I said, the characters and their interactions are actually pretty good. They have some chemistry, which leads to some actual funny scenes, and the animation is pretty phenomenal. Even the CGI idol scenes aren't terrible, and it's not really distracting at all. The original creator made Oisuki, which was an actually funny Harem parody, so I'll trust him here. But the story is pretty eh. The characters and animation are really the main highlights. Hello everybody, I just wanted to spend a little bit more time on Shine Post. I know I probably have already finished a section on it and you're probably a little tired of hearing about it, but I just want to spend just a little bit more time to tell you guys something interesting that I saw about how this anime transitions between 3D to 2D animation. Because a lot of times in anime you'll see these shows that have very jarring and kind of whiplash cuts between 3D and 2D, and it just takes you out the series, and that's the worst thing a show can do. Maybe this isn't as uncommon as I think it is, but I still think it's pretty cool and I wanted to show you guys. So if you'll notice here, all of this is 3D animation, this is all CGI, but watch how the transition, watch this, watch what pops up on the screen. Right here. This is the pamphlet that is used to transition from the 3D animation to the 2D animation. There's this pamphlet and then there's this bright light that pops up. And as you see, we are back into the 2D animation that the show uses regularly. This might seem a little small, but what this does is this creates such a seamless, smooth scene that doesn't whiplash the viewer at all. Boom, and we're back to 2D animation. 3D, 2D. So I thought that was pretty cool. I really like the way Studio Kai did that. Just a personal thing that I noticed, just a small thing I noticed that might seem pretty cool to some people out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and back to the regular video. What happens when Satan suddenly appears in the modern world? Maybe total world domination? The eradication of the human race? Nah, he just works at McDonald's apparently. This anime is a blast to watch. It's funny, down-to-earth comedy with some splashes of romance and fantasy. I was really impressed with the characters and their growth, especially Mao and Amy. Mao slowly begins to love his new role in life to the point he doesn't care about his kingdom anymore, and Amy just has a hard time believing it. It'd be like if Hitler suddenly became a good guy. The romance between the two is solid too. Neither of them really believes they'd fall for each other, so it's kinda funny seeing them interact. Especially now with a kid involved. You even have a girl who actually loves Mao that is 100% going to get cucked.
That's bait.
So it has everything a romance anime needs, really. I actually thought the worst parts were when it got serious towards the end. Call me biased, but I thought it was pretty generic. Also, this fucking guy, who plays a major role in the serious part. I hate this character. Not because he's a bad guy or a perv, but because nothing causes me more secondhand embarrassment than someone who thinks they're Prince Charming but comes off as just weird and creepy. It's a bit funnier now that he's fat, but I hated him in the first season. The art style got drastically worse due to the studio change, but it still keeps the charm of the first season. Just looks painfully average now. Gabrielle seems to be a way better bad guy than that James wannabe, and Alice Ramis is adorable. I'm surprised this has got a sequel, so let's just try to enjoy it. Do you remember Jahi? This is her now, you old bastard. Do you remember Duke of the Death and his maid? How the maid would always tease the boy and make him blush and stuff? Well, that's kinda like what this maid does, but it doesn't work. Most of this show is just the boy accidentally complimenting the maid when he's trying to prove that she's some kind of witch. Oh, your cooking is delicious, your eyes are beautiful, I can't look at you without my heart fluttering. It must be your magical powers. It's nice to see this is what the Jahi creator has been working on. The best part is that this is the same studio as the ones that made Jahi, and the director worked on a few episodes of Jahi as well. I'm expecting a similar anime as Jahi considering the similarities. It's a cute show, and I like that it's a little different from typical anime like this, where the boy is usually very shy. I really like the art as well. You can tell the original creator has a bit of a tan fetish. You're just gonna drop this banger at the end of the season, huh? This show is pretty incredible so far. Like actually, it's really freaking good. I've never actually seen one of these Kamen Rider shows before, so this is all pretty new to me, but I love detective stories, and this pulled me in almost instantly. It turns out criminals can turn themselves into monsters with this USB plug-in thing. It's almost like a power-enhancing drug, and these guys also use that USB to turn into heroes who fight the criminals. Immediately, the animation and the action scene grabbed my attention in the opening scene, and it's something that remains constant throughout the series. I noticed Studio Kai does a very good job at blending 2D and 3D animation, and I think it's something that'll only improve as time goes on. There's also a very well-executed first-person scene and many other smooth-looking shots. The art department as well, the character design is lovely, the jazz music perfectly fits, it's always a nice touch in detective shows. I have no idea where this director came from. This suddenly, amazingly well-executed piece of Japanese media has got me extremely excited for the future and has made me want to look out for Studio Kai from now on. They've been making consistent bangers throughout the year. Kakegurui prequel. I mean, it's not season 3 like I was hoping, but I'll take some merry development. I really liked her character as someone who was at the top but drastically lost everything in a moment. Going from the top to the very bottom made her realize that the school's pet system is extremely messed up, and now she wants to change it by taking the school president spot. She's someone you can get behind morally, unlike Yumeko, who's just kind of a horny gambler. She's entertaining though, and her lack of presence is greatly felt. I would watch the series before this prequel just so you can get an idea of how freaking nuts this show is. Like, I knew it was gonna be raunchy, but I had no clue it'd be like this. There's an entire scene of a girl essentially fingering herself when playing suicide roulette in the bathroom. There's fingernail collectors, all kinds of wild but somehow extremely hot shit happens in this show. Season 2 is inferior to Season 1 even though the games are better, but it's a high recommendation for me either way. It's a pretty smart show that can blow you away with the mind games and psychology, but it can also attract you. Yeah. Sometimes you just end a season on a short anime. I don't know why, but it did. It's incredibly short, and it's about a cat. I'm not saying you have to watch this or anything. The art style is kind of creepy, but it's also different. Not much to say here, honestly. I was pretty late to watch this season, hence why there was no 3 episodes, since all the shows I've watched already reached 3 episodes when I started watching the series. But I think this season is solid. You have some eye-grabbing first seasons, some much anticipated sequels, some hidden gems, some fucking garbage. It's all here, baby. I'm looking forward to the next season as there are a lot of sequels too I've been really wanting. Like Peter Quill, baby, let's go! As I add another couple hundred anime to my ever-growing list of degeneracy, let's head on over to the top 10 list. At number 10, I got Pharmacist Isekai. At number 9, I got Classroom of the Elite. At number 8, I have Engage Kiss. At number 7, I have Uncle from Another World. At number 6, I got Devil as a Part-Timer. At number 5, I got Shadow's House. Number 4 is Fuuto PI. Number 3 is Lycoris Recoil. Number 2 is Call of the Night. And number 1 is Maid in Abyss. Remember to not take the top 10 list too seriously as this changes as the season progresses and I watch more and more. This is just my initial thoughts. That's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully it's not too long this time. And I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.
Then